and welcome along to the workshop. Today we're going to be taking a look at something I bought the other day in a shop. Saw it there, had to come home with me. It's this mysterious black box. Quite weighty, weighs a couple of kilos I should think. Obviously military in its construction, and the only clue we've got is it says power unit type 87, 24 volts on the end there. And it's AM, which is Air Ministry. It's obviously of some vintage. Right, let's take it apart, find out what it is. Right, let's take it apart. I actually know what's in here because when I picked it up from the shop, it was in pieces. So that's why it had to come home with me. Slot head screws are never as easy as posies, are they? There we go. Spin him round, take the others out. Right, and there it is. Put the case to one side. Now, for those of you that know, this is a rotary converter, also known as a dynamotor, although that may have been a commercial name. A lot of these connections have been removed. It was like that when I found it. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't want to trust a 1930s capacitor either. This unit does in fact date from 1939. And it's actually used to power the radio transceiver and a Spitfire aircraft. I found that out after I purchased it. But there we go. Right, what you basically do is at this end you have a motor. So here is a conventional DC motor, brushed obviously. And a Spitfire would appear to be positive earth. Well, I've not been able to verify that, but 24 volts positive earth DC goes in there. That obviously drives the motor, starts the whole lot spinning. And you've got two windings at the other end here. This one is about 250 volts, allegedly at 60 milliamps. I find that a little bit hard to believe. And then we have rated at 6.5 volts at I think it was 3.5 amps. So obviously what you do is you put your 24 volts in there, this thing spins up, and you get HT out for your transmitter, your valves, and the heater winding. So that's how it works. Quite a simple machine, not very efficient way of doing it, but in the days before switch mode converters, that was it. These capacitors, there's obviously to knock the edges off, otherwise what would be quite an interference laden signal, not what you want with a radio transmitter. And there's also a choke or inductor down there to soften the HT somewhat, I should think. Right, let's run it up and see if it still works. Okay, so here we have the setup. We have the dynamotor or rotary converter here. We have our 24 volts going in, and then we have the left hand meter here reading the high voltage dynamo, and the right hand meter here reading the low voltage dynamo. Right, let's switch the supply on and take some readings. There we go, we've got 256 volts HT and 6.8 volts DC, and don't forget that's off load, so that will come down a bit under load. Talking of which, let's find something suitable for it to drive. Right, we've got a plan. Here is a little valve amplifier. It's a single-ended thing I built in the 90s at some stage. It's a pair of, I can't remember, CV4043. I think it's a 6BQ5 or 6BQ7 or something. Anyway, it's good for a couple of watts, single-ended stereo. And it's got an ECC83 in there as a preamp. Also, what I'm going to do is just pull the rectifier tube out I'm going to disconnect the heater windings from the transformer, drop our HT straight onto the reservoir cap in there, and the heaters straight onto the heaters, and see if it'll work. Can't see why it won't, although without the smoothing arrangements in there, and of course the smoothing arrangements in here are designed for 50 Hz, but actually should be better at higher frequencies. And looking at the number of segments on there, I think it'll be quite quiet. Of course there might be some earthing issues and it might hum and buzz and fizz. Who knows? Let's try it out. Right, okay. This is the maddest thing I've ever done. Right, so let me step over here. We've got the rotary converter connected to our 2 meters again to measure the HT and the heaters, and that's lashed up to this dear old valve amplifier. Yeah, and the audio is coming from this MP3 player, so let me just start that rolling. Alright, there's a bit of audio, so let's put some voltage on there. Right. Okay. Heater's a little, blimey, it works. There we go. You can just hear it over the sound of the rotary converter running. There you have it. A World War II Spitfire rotary converter driving an amplifier I built years ago. Oh, it's doing quite well as it warms up. Maddest thing I've ever done. There you go. Something to talk to your mates at a pub about. Thanks for watching. See you soon.